Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, welcome to the male soap opera moment featuring the one, the only, the wrestling encyclopedia, Vincent Kennedy Bucci.
Yes. It is Hell in a Cell time, and it is also time once again to acknowledge me. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen,
Not this again.
the champ is still standing with a score of 5-3, and I am happy to say I am in God mode right now, which is ironic, seeing as how we're going into Hell in a Cell. The irony of it all is amazing. Your champion is still here, still dripping in gold.
Booch, it looks like your shirt has never seen an iron E ever. But here's the irony of what's about to take place, my lord, is that Hell in a Cell is really going to reveal the strong, right? You did take it last time 5-3, and I can acknowledge that. But much like Roman Reigns in this played out gimmick with the bloodline, I will never, ever acknowledge that. So let's talk a little bit about WWE Backlash. And go ahead, take your little victory lap, Booch. Let's go through what determined the difference in that outcome.
Absolutely. Well, of course, the first match that opened the show was, of course, the second match, the rematch from WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes versus Seth freaking Rollins. And these guys once again tore the house down, once again had a hellacious match. If you're one of those star rating guys, you got to give this a 5 because it was that damn good. And of course, this time it ended with a roll-up reversal for the win, which I enjoyed. It gave us a victory, but still kind of questionable. You know, like Seth tried to cheat, failed, and now it can lead to the third match that's coming up this Sunday. So it worked in that regard. So it was perfect. And this got both of us a point because we both agreed that Cody was going to take this. Then we get to this next match here. We had Omos versus Bobby Lashley, which was okay. I didn't think it was as great as WrestleMania. Wasn't like over the moon excited for it, but it did what it needed to do. And of course, Omos won, which gave the points right here for the champ. Took that one right there. Happy about that. Then we had the third match, the rematch from WrestleMania that was one of the show stealers, Edge versus AJ Styles. And once again, these two had an incredible match, great back and forth action. The chemistry was on point, and you didn't know where it was going to go or what was going to happen or how it was going to play out. But in the end, Edge won again with help from this hooded figure. And what's funny was I'm thinking, okay, this is Tommaso Ciampa. So I've been hearing rumors that Tommaso was going to join the Judgment Day, not knowing it was Rhea Ripley. So now Rhea Ripley, who is perfect for this faction and has done a phenomenal job in the weeks leading up to Hell in a Cell, loved it. And of course, she interferes, helps Edge win. So Wenz got the point on that one. Then after that, we had, of course, let me see. Gotta multitasking with a few different computers here. So we got, and then of course we had the match made in hell, but was not at Hell in a Cell. The SmackDown Women's Championship match between Ronda Rousey and the False Flair. And I will say, very good match, brutal, violent. It wasn't quite what I was expecting, and it exceeded my expectations. It actually was a very good match. And I love the fact that when Ronda got the victory, it involved an armbar, it involved a chair. She wouldn't give up. And I love how Ronda said, I was hoping you would say that, bitch, and then lean back. And then Charlotte finally screamed 2 words that I've been waiting for her to say for years, which is, I quit. And she then loses. Since then, she's been off TV, and WWE's been so much better for it because now she's been off planning her wedding to getting married to Andrade El Idiot. So they're off doing that. So Ronda's been carrying the SmackDown Women's Championship. We finally have a real champion, which is beautiful. And we both agreed that Ronda was going to win. We might not agree with the opinions on the opponent, but we did agree Ronda was taking this. That got us both a point right there. Then we moved on to
the opinions expressed by Vincent Kennedy Bucci about Charlotte Flair do not necessarily respect those of Hyper Mega Global Omni Hypnocore or subsidiary Wens World Radio.
Good to know. So, and then we had Madcap Moss.
Throw that in. Disclaimer from the parent company. You know how all that works.
Yeah. And then we had Happy Corbin versus Madcap Moss, the betrayal that we weren't expecting. And does anybody really care that they broke up? I don't, but no. I had a feeling Madcap Moss was going to win, and he did. Thus, another point for the champion. And then we cut to the main event of the evening: Drew McIntyre and RK Bro versus the Bloodline. The match we didn't want, that no one was excited for, took the wind out of the sails, and it did it even further when the Bloodline emerged victorious from Roman Reigns spearing Riddle, which was my favorite part of the match. And then in the end, the good news is it allowed me to keep this baby right here. But despite all that, it was a predictable match. We knew what was going to happen. I mean, Wenz had high hopes for, the Scottish psychopath, but he was a psychopath for thinking that the Bloodline was going to lose this match. So that was WrestleMania Backlash in a nutshell. Wenz, how'd you feel about it?
I don't remember much of it, Booch, and that is the reason for what we talked about before we kicked off here. Hi, lady behind you. Is she part of the Vincent K. Bucci fan club? Is she part of the Booch fan club?
Yes, she's one of my biggest fans. I see her all the time.
Nice. The truth about it is, Booch, is that by the time we get around to the next pay-per-view, I can't really remember what happened a month prior. So I think moving forward, we're going to try and record the happenings, the goings on, if you will, of said pay-per-view the week after. So that way it's fresh on my mind. All I can really remember about this pay-per-view was I kind of was sad about Charlotte Flair losing. I felt like the deserving champion is her, will be her forever. And I hope that Andrade doesn't bring her down. That's about all I can remember and think about right now. It's trying times, it's uncertain times for the fans of the true Flair. Speaking of which, in my production ear, thank you there, intern number 47, Ric Flair wrestling his last match ever. No, and this time he means it. The end of July, be part of Jim Cornette's promotion, and it's going to be in Tennessee. So look at your local listings for those of you in TN, the abbreviation of your state. Check it out. Might be worth checking out live, but also be streaming on Fight TV, FITE. Booch, you're a staple on that station. So as featured here on Wens World in episodes past. But we're digressing. Thank you, production here again. Let's talk a little bit about aforementioned Hell in a Cell. The irony here, Booch, is that there's only one match on this whole card that is being conducted in Hell in a Cell. So let's talk about it, right? The third matchup between Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins. And this one is interesting to me, Booch, because it's going to be really tough for them to go against the momentum that Rhodes has right now. On the other hand, if Rollins loses, I think he takes a greater leap backward than I think the universe is anticipating. My prediction, Booch, with all that said, is that Cody Rhodes wins this match, even if it's in underhanded fashion, if you catch my drift.
Yes. I definitely think Cody is winning. The momentum is on his side. He needs to keep building himself because, as I mentioned before, this is the man who needs to dethrone the head of the table. So in order to do that, he needs the proper buildup. And the Hell in a Cell is going to be perfect for that. I love the buildup to this match. Seth Rollins here's what I love about Seth Rollins. He is not afraid to acknowledge, no pun intended, the competition. If you pay close attention to the promo he cut before they had that brawl where he said, you don't get to go off with your friends and, act like this place is greater. You don't get to take a sledgehammer to the throne and then try to come back and take it. For those who don't know, what he's talking about is he's talking about Cody when he left WWE, hanging out with Kenny and the dumb fucks and creating ultimately AEW. And at the first Double or Nothing, Cody Rhodes they had a throne sitting out there, kind of similar to the one Triple H sat in during one of his WrestleMania entrances. And Cody goes underneath the ring, pulls out a sledgehammer, trying to reference Triple H, and then goes over the sledgehammer and beats up the throne, kind of saying, it's kind of like a FU to like Triple H and WWE and the establishment, because AEW's coming to essentially take over the wrestling business and be the place to see real wrestling, like wrestling done right, which should have been the way it's gone, but it hasn't gone that way lately. But ultimately, that's what Cody was. So that's what Seth's referring to, because that's basically what Cody did. He went out there to basically make a name for himself and establish himself as a top guy, and now all of a sudden he's back in WWE and is able to suddenly go up the ladder.
And so what? And people have done that. They've come and gone. How many times has 16-time, or 21-time, according to him, time champion Ric Flair done it? I mean, cross promotions, NWA, WWE, WWF, WCW. So, I mean, whatever. You can pick and choose your battles, but hey, man, it's a business. And these guys come and go, and they understand where their bread's buttered. And you know what? I think it's smart to incorporate it in the storyline. But don't get me wrong, I guarantee it when Seth Rollins' contract comes up and AEW throws a number he can't refuse, he's going to jump at it because it's a business. Same thing with his better half, Becky, big time Bex. Don't expect her to stay around forever. So with all that said, I got Cody. Who you got?
Cody, 100%.
All right. There you have it. Let's move it on down here. The Raw Women's Championship on the line. This is one of those matches, Booch, that doesn't really require Bianca Belair losing face by losing. After all, she doesn't have to be pinned or submitted to lose this match. Could be at the hands of Becky Lynch and Asuka, or vice versa. Booch, what's your view on this match? Who wins and why?
Is it wrong that I consider this a bathroom break? Because I like Bianca Belair.
You can't help it when nature calls.
Yes. Because I love Bianca Belair. I'm a fan of Becky Lynch, but she's already been in this. And I'm not happy Asuka's back because I'm worried they're going to shove her down everybody's throats again. I've not been a fan of Asuka since day one. And any momentum she had ended a long time ago. And I won't get into the reason why. I've mentioned it before. But I'm not excited for this match because I got a bad feeling Bianca Belair may end up losing. I want to be wrong, but I don't think I am. So I'm going to roll the dice. The champ's going to roll the dice, and I'm going to say I think Asuka wins because I think they're going to hand it right back to her, and they're just going to start, and she's going to have this long reign again. They're going to start this whole thing up, and her and Becky going to bounce back and forth. I don't see a scenario where Bianca walks out with the title, but if I'm wrong, I will be happily wrong. But I'm going to roll the dice and go with Asuka.
I love it, Booch. I love your honesty there because I do feel like Asuka is one of those characters that they will shove, they have, and the Japanese gibberish is just awful. Listen, this is what annoys me. Real talk, right? I'm sitting downstairs watching Raw, trying to catch up before the show starts, and I'm watching it at night. The kids are asleep upstairs, and she wakes everybody in the house up. And she's the only person on that whole show that feels the need to scream every word. And it's like, she'll never be over. Like, if you want to turn her heel, she has to be understandable.
Exactly. And even when she was,
She doesn't have to be hateable. She just has to. And what ends up happening, Booch, is that I don't end up hating her. I just end up fast forwarding through her parts. And that's exactly what I did. So I am not keen to what she spoke to Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair about on Monday night because I fast forwarded it through it because I don't want to hear it. So I'm with you. I could take Asuka losing this match. And I think you're wrong. I think she does lose this match. And I think Bianca Belair retains the Raw Women's Championship. So we definitely will have a clear-cut winner or loser so far. Let's take it to this handicap match. Who's parking closer to the building, Booch? Bobby Lashley or Omos? With MVP in his corner, of course, that kind of does make it somewhat of a weird kind of dynamic here. What say you?
Well, I found it interesting they were doing a handicap match. I remember it's like Bobby Lashley will face MVP in a match, and if he wins, he gets to pick the stipulation. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Wenz, just to remind the fans out there, listeners, what is the name of the pay-per-view for this Sunday?
Hell in a Cell. Well,
Okay.
actually, Booch, that's technically not 100% correct because we only have one match that is Hell in a Cell. Every other match is, well, heck in a cell because it's not quite that ferocious and vicious, Booch. It's more kind of like PG-13, kind of what WWE has done in the years past. So this is another heck in a cell match. There we go.
But
hey, by the way, bring it back. I'm all about the right to censor. Bring it back, Stevie Richards. Bring back the right to censor. They need it. They need it. Like I have been jonesing for right to censor 2.0 forever, and they're squandering an opportunity.
I agree. But I feel like, but yeah, so anyway, but like you said, the title is Hell in a Cell, which is based off the actual Hell in a Cell match. So why are we even picking a stipulation? Lock them in the cell. That makes logical sense. But instead they want to do, you're going to pick a stipulation within a Hell in a Cell. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, what are you going to do? We're going to do a tables match at Hell in a Cell. That makes no sense. We'll have you can't have a ladder match because there's already a cell hanging above the ring. You can't hang a belt up there unless you want to open up the roof and have the belt slide through that. But that's too much work for everybody involved. And it's just ridiculous. Just lock Bobby Lashley and Omos in a cell and have them kill each other. But instead, we got this 2-on-1 handicap match. And I don't know. Lashley won the first time, Omos won the second time. Had almost, if Bobby Lashley had won twice in a row, I would go with Omos and MVP winning this match. Because I do think there's a scenario where Omos beats the hell out of Lashley and MVP gets the pin. So I do see a scenario where that can happen. But at the same time, because they've got 50-50 booking already, and this is the rubber match with MVP added in, I don't see this rivalry continuing after this. So I'll go with the Almighty.
This just in, heck in a cell factoid. Bobby Lashley, indeed, undefeated, 2-0 in Hell in a Cell matches. So it bodes well for the Almighty. And I, too, Booch, will take Bobby Lashley to beat Omos despite MVP being there. So there you go. Next match, Kevin Owens versus Elias. I mean, I'm sorry, Freudian slip, Ezekiel. It's Ezekiel, right? It's not Elias. Or is it? I don't know. We have 1% chance, Booch, that you are the father of your next door neighbor's small child that looks a lot like you over there in Duluth. Hey, we digress. Let's get back to wrestling, Booch. I don't want to talk about all the of your goings-ons out there. Booch is a busy man. Smooch with the Booch. Take it back TRG style. Petit Tom, Kevin Owens versus Ezekiel. Booch, I am going with Kevin Owens to win this match. And by the way, this match, in my silliest match ever, but out of all the matches on this card, this one has had the most fun, entertaining, best build, in my opinion. It's been fun to watch this. I love it. It's so great to watch Kevin Owens lose his mind. He lost his mind to this guy, and he sells it so well. I'm going to go with Kevin Owens. I love this gimmick for him, and I hope that it continues to prosper. But for the sake of this match, I think it's going to be KO. What say you?
I'm loving this. I'm hoping that Ezekiel, I'm hoping that he has like an identical twin brother in real life, and they fix him up as Elias to show up just to confuse the shit out of everybody. Because the guy doesn't have to wrestle. He just to look like Elias. But I got a feeling Ezekiel's gonna win this because I think that Kevin's too emotional in this match. He's clearly trying to get in Ezekiel's head, confuse everybody, claiming he has an identical like twin brother, whatever the hell, and it's just not working. So I think Ezekiel has the mind game advantage. I think there's going to be some type of Elias thing that happens to distract him, and Ezekiel's going to get the win. So I'm going with Ezekiel.
All right, rapid fire here, Booch. Time is a ticking. United States Championship, Austin Theory, the Austin Theory Project, as it's called in circles, taking on Mustafa Ali. Mustafa's on his way out of the company. I'm going to go with Austin Theory. What do you think?
Me too. Theory, because I'm hearing that Theory's got a big program coming up real soon. There's rumors going around that on the internet that when John Cena inevitably returns to WWE, he's going to be feuding with Austin Theory. They're going to have a match together. So you want Theory to look good for the match, for that potential match with Cena. So yeah, Austin Theory retains the United States Championship.
And the final match, Finn Balor, AJ Styles, and Liv Morgan taking on Judgment Day. Now, on the next episode, we're going to talk about this faction because this match is going to be huge, right? If they win, the Judgment Day faction gains strength. If they lose, which I really can't see them losing, and therefore, spoiler alert, they're not losing this match. We could talk more about the goings on here and the aftermath after Hell in a Cell. But I'm clearly taking Judgment Day to beat up on Finn Balor, Styles, and Liv Morgan. What do you think?
I'm so torn because I've gone against Edge twice already, and it's come back to haunt me. I thought that with Finn Balor watching his back, this wouldn't be an issue, but apparently it was. You've got Finn Balor and Liv Morgan. Both of them seem to be doing really well. I don't know how well they want to build this club back up. So I feel like Judgment Day still has more to give. And obviously they're talking about bringing in more people because I have still heard that Tommaso Ciampa is a potential to join Judgment Day. So if they're going to add more people to it, it needs to look stronger. So even though there's a part of me that really feels like the club's going to take this, I'm going with Judgment Day.
And there you have it, my friends. A clear-cut winner will be had. Spoiler alert, the Wenz will win the prediction championship in Hell in a Cell. You never know. But two things you should know by now. And if you don't know, now you will know. Have a nice day, and
bang, bang.